thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Mike Tellerino. I am the CEO for K9 for Veterans. Tonight we have Doug Kohler and we have Rachel Lewis. Doug is a veteran who is part of our service dog training program, and Rachel is one of our trainers. Doug, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I joined the military in 1972. I was active duty 7.5 years. Got out, went to college, and came back into the National Guard. And in '08, went to Afghanistan, where I served in northern Afghanistan with our embedded training team. And it was there that I received my injuries and was introduced to a Wounded Warrior Project, who in turn introduced me to K9s for Vets.
So that's how you came to us, just through the Wounded Warrior Project?
Yes, sir.
Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little background.
My name is Rachel. I'm working with dogs for over 11 years. Started working with K9 for Veterans. I'm one of 3 trainers, and this is one of the veterans I work with and his service dog back there.
Great. Doug, tell us a little bit about your PTSD when you realized that you had it, and how did it progress from there?
Well, one of the first patrols that I went on, we were attacked, we were ambushed, and it was initiated with RPGs. And it was that explosion that startled me. I had expected to be shot at, but no one told me to expect rockets or mortars or anything like that. For some reason, it just wasn't in my mind. And I found out after that attack, and after it was over, I had to go to Bagram Air Base to go see the dentist. And I was walking down the street, and a Marine was coming towards me, and across the street somebody opened up with a jackhammer. And next thing I knew, I'm on the ground, the Marine was on the ground, and we both looked at each other like, if you don't tell, I won't tell.
Yeah, all right.
And when I got home, the fellow I saw in the mirror when I shaved was the same guy that I saw when I left. Everybody else saw somebody different. It took over a year for my family to tell me that I had scared them for over 2 years. Just the look on my face, the way I would react to things, the looks I would give. I didn't understand what was going on. I really didn't. I went through all the evaluation processes, diagnosed with PTSD, I've got shoulder problems, had my knee replaced. Those things are easy to get over with, but this thing about PTSD, there's still a question in my mind as to what the heck it is. It's something I live with, something I deal with, and it's still a big question to me. It's still something that you're never going to get over. You're never going to become cured. It's something you just deal with, something you have to moderate. And that's why when I had the chance of getting a service dog, that I said
How did that come about, Doug?
Through Wounded Warrior Project, I was introduced to a 3-week in-house thing at Rush, where it's all veterans. There were 10 of us in this group, and it was like group counseling. And near the end of that, they had a representative from K9 come over and talk about the service dog program.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I think I was the only one who raised his hand.
Yeah, you were.
And the fella asked, he said, "What kind of dog are you looking for?" And the first thought was, do you have a 130-pound German Shepherd? And they said, no, but we have a pit bull. Well, just the pit bull, only thing I knew about pit bulls was the urban legend. They're going to snap, they're going to turn on you. If you're not careful, they're going to eat you.
Yeah.
And so when I thought my kid, who at the time was 18, would like a pit bull, he thought that would be cool. So I said, okay, I'll take a pit bull. And when I was introduced to Santana, where I got down here behind me, all I saw was this big head coming at me.
Doug, do you remember the first time you came to the center to meet Santana?
Yeah.
You looked at me like I was crazy. Like,
Heard that story.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
It was a very awkward meeting, and you left there very unsure of what you wanted.
Yeah.
What made you decide then that, was it the stigma of a service dog?
I was going to say that. Thank you. I remember seeing people with service dogs. I'd look at the dog, and in every case, the dog was beautiful. Beautiful, cute, handsome. But then I'd think, what's wrong with that person? And I'd be happy to look at the dog, but I didn't want to look the person in the eye. Didn't want to make eye contact.
It was the stigma
Oh, yeah.
attached to the
There's
dog.
something wrong with that person. That's why they have to
It's
have
weakness.
a dog. Yeah. And initially I said, I'll take the dog. And then I came back and said, I don't really want the dog. I was really looking for a pet. I made up an excuse. I was really looking for a pet, not a service dog. And, I'm not too sure if this is really what I'm looking for. But it was my son who spent the last week with me at the thing at Rush. He says, Dad, you need a service dog. And he's the one that convinced me.
Then you came back.
And came back.
And we gave you
And
Santana.
I had Santana.
And you've been with Santana ever since.
Yep, have had him a little over a year now. And
What's the best part of having a service dog?
well, people say you have PTSD and you have anxiety, and says we don't see any of that. I said, since I've had Santana, you're not going to see any of that. He moderates that. This guy is so intuitive. At K9s for Vets, they're trying to teach the dogs how to recognize anxiety by jumping up and putting their head up here for deep pressure therapy. I never had to teach Santana that. One day at the house, I got all wound up about something, and he just jumped right up and put his head right here and stayed there till I calmed down. I was traveling recently and sleeping in motels. But anyhow, I didn't want him to sleep with me in the bed, and he could sense something was wrong. And I was up and down several times that night, but every time I woke up, I looked over at him, and he was wide awake looking at me,
Right.
just making sure I was going to be okay.
It's a gift. It really is.
He goes everywhere with me, does everything with me. I can't think of any activity that I'm in that I don't take him with me.
That's great. Rachel, why don't you tell us what the basics are for training a service dog who just is new to the program?
All right. Well,
What do we look for in a service dog?
we look for a lot of things. We definitely want a dog that is calm, that attaches to a veteran easily. It doesn't always happen overnight at first. We pick our dogs based on what veterans we get into the program, and we select the dogs for them. A lot of veterans come in and they instantly want a German Shepherd, just like you said. It's
Yeah.
the big cool look of the
Yeah.
German Shepherd, and that's not always what they need.
Right.
So we go based off of that. Then as far as the training goes, again, I'm one of 3 trainers. I do the public settings classes. So my classes are usually in public. We get the veteran out in public.
Tell us about what they are.
So typical class, we meet up somewhere. We go either downtown, go to Millennium Park, go to different grocery stores. We do something that we would do in everyday life and learn how to manage our dog and be with our dog in a public setting. It's hard at first. Most of the guys are concentrating on the dog and not everything around them, and we need to do a little bit of both. And a lot of people want to come up and speak with us about the dogs, and if the guys are comfortable doing that, they can, and if not, we just walk away. So.
Doug, you've been in her class.
Yep.
What do you think of it?
Growing up, I grew up with cats. Never had a dog.
Big change.
In my marriage, we had a couple dogs, but he was just, to me, like a cat. You just don't spend too much time with them. You don't interact much with them. But Santana has definitely changed my mind on that.
So, life before Santana.
Before Santana, a lot of anger. A whole lot of anger, a lot of conflict, road rage, major anxiety.
And Santana's leveled that out for you.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He-
it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. He's fantastic. He needs to be up here too.
We'll get him up here. Rachel, when we choose a service dog for a veteran, you said we're looking for qualities in that dog that they're calm, that they have a great temperament.
Yes.
Is there any? We're not breed specific at all.
No, not at all. And that's what I really liked about the program before I first started working here. I'm a huge believer in positive energy and positive reinforcement, and I believe that any dog can have the potential of being a service dog with a lot of training and attaching to their handler. And I love the part of the program that we weren't breed specific. And one of the first veterans I met was Doug. I remember the first day I walked in and he came around the corner with this massive pit bull, and I was like, oh, I was like, this is awesome. And Santana and I have a great relationship, and it goes to show you that it doesn't matter the breed. It really doesn't. Santana is by far one of the best service dogs in the program, and I see the way they work together and their bond that they have, and he's amazing. He really is.
So when we find a service dog and we match it with a veteran and we pair it with a veteran and we send it home immediately with the veteran, that's far better than keeping it at the center for 3-4 months for all
Yes.
the basic training.
Definitely.
It starts that bonding
They have
process.
to build their bond. When dogs are inside boarding centers or shelters or anything like that, they're a little off. You know, at first they were dumped at a shelter, then rescued, and they don't know where home is. So when they go home with the veteran, they actually spend time with them. They start to learn the flow of things and to feel loved. Most of the
Right.
dogs that came into the program, they didn't have that. So to go from living in a shelter, being dumped or rehomed multiple times, to having somebody like Doug that just waits on them, feeds them steak and loves them, it's huge, and you see it with these dogs. You really do.
Yeah, and truly, the bonding process really makes a difference.
Big time.
It really does. That's why we decided to send the dog home with the veteran to start that bonding process right away.
Yes.
Seeing Doug when he first came in with Santana, and then 90 days later, you couldn't pry Santana away from him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest misconception when a veteran first comes in to our organization, is that, do I need this? Is it really for me? Am I going to be labeled?
Yeah.
Am I going to
Yeah.
parade around with a dog with a vest on it? People are going to be pointing at me
Yeah.
and saying rude things. I mean, and it's so not right. I mean, look at the difference it's made.
That's human nature, though, you know.
Yeah.
Like when I saw people with service dogs, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to approach the person. Hey, that's a nice dog, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, right.
You know, you don't know how to
Right.
initiate that greeting, just don't. And then with this guy here, more times than not, whenever I go to Menards or go to a store, any place, they see me walking up with him, they look at him, they smile, then they smile at me. He is such a magnet for affection.
Do they look at him because he's a pit bull?
Yes.
You think
Yeah.
differently than if he was a shepherd or?
He's got such a, he's a guy, so I shouldn't say this, but an adorable face.
Yes.
He really does. He has such a soft look to his face.
When we went to the mall, there was a ton of women that surrounded Doug and him, and
Chick magnet.
Yeah, definitely chick magnet. And it's good because then we can educate the public on service dogs and also pit bulls in general.
So
And
when you're out doing that public setting, do people ask you what you're doing, or do you actually get a chance to educate people?
definitely, there's some veterans that are not comfortable having those conversations, and that's fine. And I tell them right from the get-go, we have a crew of beautiful dogs and beautiful veterans, but we're going to be stopped and ask questions. Some people stare from afar, and other ones come all the way up and they ask. And I tell them it's all right if you just want to walk away or give them a brief, this is what it's about. But most of the guys, we're at the point where we can have full conversations and talk about why the dog is there, how it's helped me, and I think it's very beneficial for everybody.
Does it get easier, Doug, from the beginning as time goes on, having a service dog, as far as, being used to it now? I mean,
yes.
It's second nature to you now.
He's family.
Right. You wouldn't think of leaving the house
He's not
without
a
him.
part of my family. He is family.
Right.
And we do, like I said, go everywhere, do everything together.
What would you tell a veteran who has PTSD and who's contemplating, do I need one? Do I want one? Is this good for me? Will it work? What would you tell them?
First, face the fact that you've got PTSD, that
Right.
you're always going to have PTSD. And the service dog does not cure you, but he does
It'll
help
never
you,
cure PTSD.
but he will help you in ways you can never imagine
Right.
to get you through day-by-day issues. You told me this, that when I got Santana, I would tell him things I would not tell anybody else.
Exactly.
I thought you were nuts.
No,
Because I've never had a dog before. This
Right.
guy has made me a dog person.
right.
And we have great conversations, one-way conversations.
You
But
don't
he
have
looks
to
at
worry.
me like he
Yeah.
knows. Like he knows what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
You could trust him
Yeah.
with your innermost thoughts.
Everything.
Things you wouldn't tell anybody because they would judge you and say,
Yeah.
you did what?
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we talk about that too, is having the veteran just speak with your dog instead of just sit and stay and down. I tell them when you're in traffic and you're starting to get road rage, have a conversation. Your dog
Yeah.
loves to hear your voice. Tell them about what you did last week, what you did last month, what you did 10 years ago. Your dog is never going to tell anybody.
But I would recommend a service dog to any vet who has PTSD. It's such a benefit, such a great, great thing to have. They really
is, it
are.
really is.
They really are.
with our program, I guess we have a caller. Oh, no. Send in. Caller, can we help you?
Yes, hi. Is Rachel, I have a question for Rachel.
Yes, Ernie.
Yes, Rachel. The service dogs, do they have to have a series of what's that, lipto shots? And do they have to take them in a certain amount of time?
Are you talking about leptospirosis?
Yes.
I always say reach out to your vet and speak with your vet and see if that's something that your dog needs. I definitely think it's a great shot, especially living in the city and there's lots of rats and different
Right.
diseases on the ground. So I would say yes, get that shot.
Okay, but if you don't have a lot of rats, which and where I live they don't, is it necessary?
I can help with that. Hey, Ernie, I talked to a trainer and asked the trainer what they require, and she gave me an entire list of vaccinations a dog has got to have, and that being one of them. Because they don't want to bring
Okay.
dogs together where one may be a carrier and
Right.
the other dog's not being protected.
Okay, great. Okay, because she had one, and they said it have to be a certain amount of time frame for them to take another one, and if not, then they have to start the process all over again.
And that's okay. You can start it back over again. But yeah, I would just reach out to your vet.
Thanks for calling. Rachel, getting back to you. Okay. You're one of our trainers at K9,
Yes.
and you handle all the outside training. What else do you do? How did you get involved with this?
Oh, okay. Well, like you said earlier, I've been working with dogs for over 11 years. About 8 years ago, I started working at a place called Tucker Pups, which is a boarding, daycare, training, and grooming facility. Started working there as a dog handler, moved up into a management position about 2 years after. We have about 40 staff members and over 100 dogs a day that come in.
Wow.
So in between working there, I've also volunteered a lot at shelters and traveled a lot to work with different dog sanctuaries, and I never knew exactly where I was going to fit in. Didn't know if I wanted to work in the medical field or just anything, and it took a couple years to figure it out that I wanted to work with training. It's a huge reason why a lot of dogs are in the shelters is training, and I feel like if more dogs were trained, less dogs would be in the shelters, so that's my way of kind of helping.
Get them out of the shelters.
Yeah, definitely.
What K9 believes is that there's no two dogs and no two veterans alike.
Yeah.
So our program is put together based on individual needs.
Yes.
And you do such an awesome job with our veterans and their
Yes.
training aspect, like with Doug. Each one of our dogs and veterans have special needs. They really do. And I'm so proud of our trainers, our program, and what you guys do to make this work for our veterans. I mean, and Doug is an example of what you do for our veterans and what you give back of yourself to our veterans. I mean, for him to get through a day now is nothing, and that's in part, large part, because of what our trainers, yourself, and others do for our veterans. So it does, and what you do makes a huge difference in their lives.
Thank
It
you.
really does. I mean, like I said, Doug is a perfect example.
I don't
He's
think of it as
living
work.
proof.
I love hanging out with these guys. We have good times.
I have to go with you
Yeah.
one night and see how all that works. Caller. Yes, caller, can we help you?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, yes.
Hi. Yes, I'm just calling in, Rachel. I have to thank Rachel. I am a parent of a veteran. Um, this is Maui's grandma.
Oh, hi, Maui's grandma.
And I just want to say I really appreciate that K9 for Veterans has really made a difference in our life. Our son also has PTSD, and Maui has been the best thing in our life.
Oh,
That's amazing. Thank you. That's what it's all about. It really is. You know, helping our veterans, having trainers that work with our veterans, doing what we did. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Maui has a great family. She not only has Jose as her veteran, but she also has her grandma and grandpa and also children in the family. She's a great dog.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
Doug, again, you could be like the poster person for K9 for Veterans. You really could, because you are a perfect example of where you were and where you're at now. It's amazing. The transformation,
Yes, sir.
it's like night and day. It really is. And to know that a service dog, a dog, could make that much of a difference in your life, it's a gift. It really is. And have Rachel put as much dedication as she does into her training to make that all work for you. That's another gift, because it takes a certain person to be able to pull that off. It really does. So, you know, again, what we want to just let other veterans know that there is help.
Yes.
And if you know a veteran out there and they have PTSD, have them call K9 for Veterans. You know, they can reach us at 773-854-1000, or they can go to our website, which is the letter K, the number 9, the letter S, the letter D.org. And you can find out everything you need to know about K9. And again, it's all about helping our veterans. And when we see the difference it made in you, it just means that everything we're doing has a meaning. And, you know,
And I can't thank you guys enough for everything you've done and are still doing for the other guys.
Yeah.
And the dogs.
I asked most of the veterans, I said, just send me a little something of how your dog has changed your life. And it was very long, but all of them had one thing in common. They're happier. They're happier with their dog. They really are.
it does make a huge
It does.
difference.
I've rescued him and he rescued me.
Yeah.
You know, and
100%.
that's the thing,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
true,
Yes.
very true.
Yes.
These dogs do rescue our veterans.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, when we were in the service, we had a battle buddy that was with us.
Yep.
When we were discharged, we lost that battle buddy. You know, we didn't have any covering our back.
Right.
Santana is your battle buddy.
Yes, he is.
Sam is my battle buddy.
Yeah.
God bless Sam. But they're always there for you. They're never gonna not be there for you.
Right.
They're gonna give you unconditional love. They're gonna help you get through that day. And it's a big responsibility to have a service dog too. It's not all fun and games, you know. Well, I just got the 1 minute warning, and Blue.
Gotta get
hit me.
Santana up here, though.
Yeah, Santana.
Come on, wake up. It's your time to shine.
Come on.
You can go up. He's like, I'm not allowed to jump on tables. There he goes.
There's Santana.
There he is.
He's like, you almost forgot about me.
That's true love.
I know. You can give me a kiss. That's okay.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Again, we're on the first and second Thursday of every month, and I apologize for my voice. Hopefully, it'll be back by our next show. Thank you.
Get a talk, buddy. Oh, there we go.